Football. I'll tell you all that. KC Joyner, footballscientist.com, works for The Athletic. If you're watching Thursday Night Football tonight, he's going to blog you through that game at The Athletic. And, of course, Casey, like all of our guests, come to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Casey, let's go to the YouTube world first with Sizzle and Bacon. Fantasy question. Is someone like Peoples-Jones, who is widely available in free agency, worth a pickup with Watson set to be back soon?
Peoples-Jones, I've been mentioning in my articles that I write for The Athletic the past couple of weeks, that Peoples-Jones is a guy, look, you're always wanting what I call insurance players in fantasy leagues, guys who can be put in as a wide receiver 3, especially in PPR leagues. Guys know you can put in as a wide receiver 3 or flex, and you know, hey, you know something? He's going to give me a 10-point floor. Maybe I get 15. Maybe I get more if he finds the end zone. But I know I'm going to get a 10, maybe a 12-point floor to this guy, and I'm not going to get a big zero. Those guys are invaluable in leagues, and they aren't rostered anywhere near as much as they are. He falls in that category. So, yeah, I'm really liking him on a lot of rosters.
A couple on the text line here has Naeem. God, I'm having trouble saying his name. Naeem Hines had enough time to be a part of the Bills' offense this week.
They'll find ways. The thing is that he's been a third down back for a while, and they don't keep him as a third down back if you just catch passes. You're going to need to pass block, too, in case there's blitzes and such. So I imagine he gets up to speed very quickly. And I know it's by apocalypse week, so maybe you can put him in some leagues. I might just start putting him in the PPR league, so I could see 5 catches, but if I'm not in the PPR league, I'm not touching him.
Deontay Foreman or Lazard this week?
Probably Foreman, because Lazard's coming off the injury, and it looks like Chuba's not going to go. I don't think Foreman's going to keep up at this pace over the long haul. If you look at his history, he just doesn't have any kind of a workhorse track record at all. But I think for this week, he'd be a good play.
Okay, Casey Joyner, fantasy football expert with us here, footballscientist.com, The Athletic. He's also going to be blogging tonight during Thursday Night Football for The Athletic. Casey, McCaffrey, when you look at his ceiling the rest of this year, how high is that ceiling? Does this guy have everything it takes to be the number one running back for the rest of this fantasy football season?
He does, because you're looking at some of his competition, like, say, take Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry right now he has 90 touches over the past 3 weeks. He can't keep up at that pace. Kamara, he can't keep up with the pace that he's done. He's not set that kind of workhorse pace. I don't think the Niners are going to use McCaffrey in a true bell cow sense, because they don't need to with all the weapons that they have. They can say, look, we're going to give you 18 to 20 valuable touches. We don't want you getting 25 or 30 in the game. We don't want to wear you down. We're going to save you for the highest profile times, which means he stays healthy and he gets all the best touches, and plus he catches stuff in the passing game. Yeah, he's the number one player in fantasy football right now.
Casey, I've been known to ask you a question or two about my own team when we have you on. And this question is selfish 2 times over, because it's about a guy who just picked up Chase Claypool when he lost Rashad Bateman, and coming from a Bears fan. What do you think about Chase Claypool with the Bears? Is there any more production there for him or Justin Fields?
Justin Fields has been very good the past week. In fact, 4 straight games of 17 or more points. I think, if I remember, I wrote that in my athletic article. I think it's like 5 quarterbacks have done that right now, or on a current streak like that. It's rare what he's doing, so he's going to give them value there. He is a good vertical threat. Mind you, when he came out from Notre Dame, when even the Steelers drafted him, he could do everything. They said one of the greatest athletes in Notre Dame history. Yep. So I think they'll find a lot of things to do with him. I don't like playing players in their first game with the team, though. If I can avoid it, I don't want to, because you just look at McCaffrey when he came in there. They found things for him to do, and he's the greatest player, and he still had a good but not a great game. So probably avoid him this week, but in the future I'll put him in.
I'm a Notre Dame fan. You don't have to tell me about Chase Claypool. Loved them at Notre Dame. KC Joyner with the series on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Back to YouTube, youtube.com, Sactown Sports 1140. Our friend Chris Watkins asks, what's the outlook on Devin Duvernay the rest of the season now that Bateman is out?
It's a run-first offense, so you got to take that into account, that it's not going to, he's not going to get a ton of targets. I also don't know about his durability and such. I don't know if he can handle that sort of production, but I'm looking at his cornerback schedule for the rest of the year. He's got 4 what I term red-rated cornerbacks, which is cornerbacks you want to avoid. Only 1 green-rated quarterback. There's cornerbacks that you like. So I'm going to like him as a spot starter at best.
Let's say somebody is worried that Jonathan Taylor can't play this weekend, KC, and their other running backs are Khalil Herbert, Ezekiel Elliott, and Mark Ingram, just hypothetically speaking. Anybody on the waiver wire at the running back position that you think might be worthwhile?
Boy, yeah. I mean, Ingram's going to be a tough sell there. As far as waiver picks, it is so. I'm in one league where people are just throwing massive trades out for running backs because it's just so thin right now on the waiver roster. I tell you, somebody I might consider as a long shot play. DeAndre Swift, he's battling injuries, may not go. The Lions may say, hey, we're going to go ahead and go Williams top. But if they do, maybe they rotate in Craig Williams and he gets 8 to 10 carries in a favorable rush defense matchup because the Packers are terrible on the ground. So might consider Reynolds as a long shot.
Here's one on the text line. Should I keep Mac Jones or be looking out for another QB at this point?
You probably should be looking at another QB at this point. The thing, I mean, I know we just talked about Fields. He's available in a lot of leagues. There's a lot of valuable quarterbacks that are available in more leagues than they ought to be available in. He's one, and I can think of a few others who would be of that mindset too. I don't know about Ellinger. I'm not sure he's somebody I would want long term. But I've been looking at the rates of ownership for a lot of players. Jones is just not a guy who stands out on that list. I probably prefer to have Zach Wilson in a lot of ways than I would Jones, just because he's got more talent around him and I think a more favorable schedule.
KC Joyner with us, fantasy football expert. KC, we're heading into the second half of the season now. Give me a buy low candidate.
Buy low candidate for the rest of the season. Oh, I can think of a few people here. A buy low candidate. Trying to think off the top of my head here. Probably, I'll give you Brian Robinson as a guy who's not been playing very well. The schedule is not unfavorable. They don't have any red-rated matchups coming up down the stretch. He's still the top runner there. I mean, they're putting Antonio Gibson there for some of the carries, but he's most of the pass catching by. They kind of bench J.D. McKissick. So I like Robinson from that perspective. I think that he'll end up turning his carries into more points than he has of late. So you can probably get him for next to nothing right now.
A lot of guys moved at the trade deadline, and I think folks are wondering, when can I put this guy in my lineup? When will he have the whole playbook in his repertoire? Here's one on the text line. Kadarius Toney, when should I play him?
The Chiefs say that they're going to try and funnel him into the line of as fast as they can, and if anybody can get somebody up and running quickly in a game, if anybody can do that or find package plays for him, Andy Reid can certainly do that. The problem is, Valdez Scantling's been great on vertical passes. Juju's caught up, has played very well of late. Mecole Hardman, I know he got rushing touchdowns last week, but he's finding the end zone as well. And you're also competing with Travis Kelce, and you got pass catching backs. Now you got Isaiah Pacheco. So looking at going, there's only one ball to go around, and they've got a lot of guys to give it to. So I'm probably not putting Tony in there until I see him getting more than the package plays.
KC, I know you have some thoughts on Ray Guy before you want to bounce this week.
Yeah, Ray Guy, he was. I did an article for the New York Times back in 2009 that talked about his Hall of Fame candidacy and how his stats were a heck of a lot better than people thought, that the stats held up. That wasn't the perception at the time. And I got to interact with him over the years because of that, and I actually did a analysis for the Hall of Fame voting that they did in 2014. I helped with the packet that they handed out there, so they got him in there. Just a real classy guy. You couldn't have found a nicer guy to talk to and things. And again, greatest punter of all time. If you look at his records, look at what he did punting wise in perspective. With what compared to his generation versus other people dominating their generation, best punter ever.
Thanks, KC. We appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you next week.